What's happening, everybody? It's your boy Charles Wells, aka C Wells, your tour guide around the SWAC as we continue to take our tour around the SWAC. Today we go to Jacktown, Jackson, Mississippi. We're going to talk about everybody's team that they're interested in, whether you're a fan or not, and that's Jackson State. Obviously, Jackson State hired Deion Sanders in the fall of 2020, and to quote my mama, like Tupac said, all eyes on them. Right now, everybody's keeping up with Jackson State. Everybody's, whether they like SWAC football, whether they don't like SWAC football, whether they never seen SWAC football before, whether they don't even know what an HBCU is, whether they live in Timbuktu, Greenland, Iceland, Montana, Delaware, Washington, anywhere, man. People are all eyes on Jackson State right now, and rightfully so. When you bring in a guy like Coach Deion, Coach Prime, Neon, Sanders, when you bring him in, he's gonna bring eyes with him, and he did that right now. So to everybody that's new, welcome. Enjoy yourself. Bring your wallet. And just enjoy it, man. Hopefully, this team can live up to a lot of hype that they have on them. I think this team is going to be good. Let's get that out of the way. How good they are, that remains to be seen. I'm not going to really waste too much time doing anything. Let's go ahead and get all the intros out of the way. As you can see, all the socials are on the screen down below. If you'd like to show a little love to the show, you can hit the Cash App, $/SWACtalk, but not slash, with $SWACtalk. You can do that if you like. We're at 250 subscribers, so I'd like to thank everybody, man. I'm serious. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I never thought that I would go, to this point. I just did this just to do it, just for fun. So I'd like to thank everybody. I'm going to continue to try to get better and better and bring you guys a great product because there's a lot of SWAC content out here. I need to make my mark. I'm just getting it out the mud. So I'd like to thank everybody for riding along with me. If, as I said before, when I welcomed you new people, if you haven't subscribed already, man, why don't you go ahead and do so. This is the home for SWAC talk inside and out. We're going to cover every team. We'll dip into a little bit of basketball when the time gets there. So this is the home for the SWAC. So welcome aboard. Hit that subscription button. Hit that notification button because I drop videos on Sundays and Wednesdays, but I also do random videos from time to time. And on Thursdays, we have our SWAC Smoke Show with my homie DJ. So don't forget to check that out. That'll be coming at you tomorrow. Sunday, we'll talk about Mississippi Valley, who's everybody's internet darling right now. Some people, I think they ain't really paid no real attention to Valley, but that's neither here nor there. So we'll do that on Sunday. Then next Wednesday, we talk about Prairie View. The Sunday after that, we talk about Southern, then Texas Southern, then Pine Bluff, and then we get ready for the week 0 game, the MEAC SWAC Challenge. So all that's there. You can check out the podcast, which is where all this started. It's also called SWACtalk. It's found on anchor.fm/SWACtalk, Spotify, Stitcher, Breaker, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. Today, Jackson State preview is up. And without any further ado, man, let's get to the shit, man. Let's go ahead and talk about this. This is going to be the hardest preview that I ever did in my life because don't nobody really know, man. Everybody know this team is going to be good. That's all everybody know. We don't know how they're going to do from week to week. We don't know how, Coach Sanders said in media day that he has 3 starters named right now. His quarterback, right guard, and defensive end or linebacker, depending on how you look at it. That's it as far as what he say. But obviously we know that there's some guys like Deshaun Nugget Warren. He's definitely, I know he's going to start. Shiloh Sanders is probably going to start. Isaiah Bolden is probably going to start. Corey Reed or Shane Hooks or Keith Corbin are going to start. Obviously, I think Peyton Pickett's probably maybe a guy to start at running back. The offensive line is going to have some guys. Keontae Hampton and Aubrey Miller, I'm sure they'll start as well. So as far as that goes, that's I think you got a pretty, if you can look at the list of guys, you probably can piece together what the lineup is going to look like. And that's some talent there. And like they say, there's some dogs there. they got some beasts, man. I mean, you have to be a total hater to say that this team don't have beasts. But the key to it is how this team is going to play together, how they're going to handle week by week, how they're going to handle adversity, and that kind of thing goes for every team. I mean, like Mike Tyson say, everybody got a plan until they get punched in the mouth. Everybody's a beast until they whistle blow and they get hit. But that's not to say that this team won't be good. This team, on paper, is obviously good enough to win the league right now. Honestly, on paper, this team is probably good enough to win every game on their schedule, but we know games aren't played on paper. And for the sake of this show, games are not played on paper, although I'm playing games on paper, ironically. So with that being said, I'm not going to waste too much time talking about the list of guys, because you can check out that 54th, 53rd, 55th ranked team in the recruiting rankings, number one in SWAC, number one in FCS. That speaks for itself, man. They hit the portal so hard. They got some nice commitments. They got some 22 commitments already lined up. There's a lot of people who, if you want to really get that in-depth part of that, there's a lot of places you can go for that. But just for this is pretty much just me looking at the schedule and saying what I think. So let's go ahead and check out the schedule, and we're gonna take it week by week and see where things think, because this is gonna be an interesting season. This is a season that I'm very hyped up about. I think this is probably shaping up to be the best SWAC season ever in my eyesight. This is probably one of the best SWAC seasons ever, and we should be in for some good games. Obviously, mad games on ESPN. You could thank Coach Prime for that. Like he said, man, we dreaming, but our eyes are wide open, man. We all eyes ahead, full speed, all gas, no brakes. Week 1, Sunday, September 5th, 3:00 Eastern Time kickoff. Orange Blossom Classic, Florida A&M, Jackson State. If you've been around social media right now, these two teams are going back and forth talking trash. FAMU, they feel like they got something to prove. They ain't played since 2019. They had a couple guys on the all SWAC second team. Jackson State, they coming in with the team that they got. They feeling good. This is your first game is always your most important game, and that don't change right now. I picked Jackson State to beat FAMU in my FAMU preview, and I'm going to stick with that. And there's no real reason other than I think obviously you can't really say the layoff is what's going to impact this game, because you have a bunch of guys on the Jackson State team that hadn't played yet in college. So, and this team hasn't played together yet. So I think there's going to be some, if there's any game that there's issues with this team, I think it's this one. So this is definitely a game that can be lost. I'm just having a feeling right now that I think Jackson State, I think it's gonna be close. I don't think it's gonna be pretty at all. So I don't expect a beauty contest. I think it's gonna be a knockdown, drag out type of game. There'll probably be a couple turnovers, a couple plays that don't make no sense at this point in the season. But I think both teams are look a lot better later in the season. I like that this game is early, but I also kind of wish it wasn't, because I would really like to see both teams meet later in the season after they done got their footing. But somebody gonna be 0-1 in the SWAC and behind the 8 ball early. So this put up a shut up from week 1. Get down or lay down. So this is gonna be a fun game, and I'm definitely gonna be watching. But I'm going with the Tigers right now. September 11th, Southern Heritage Classic, Memphis, Tennessee, Tennessee State, Jackson State. Always a crazy matchup when these two teams played. 2019, this game was 49-44 Jackson State. Back-to-back kickoff returns for touchdowns. A lot of crazy plays. This series is always, back and, one team will dominate, then the other one will dominate. You have defensive games, you have offensive games. I don't know what to expect from Tennessee State right now. Eddie George and his bunch, there's not a lot to be said with them right now. They're very quiet. So I don't know. I'm going with Jackson State strictly because even though we haven't seen this team play, and that's gonna be something you hear me say a lot during this show, but even though we haven't seen this team play, I think they're good enough to get through this game, because Tennessee State wasn't good before. Not that Jackson State was a world beater before, but I think that spring, I think, helps, even though they have a pretty new team from the spring. I think that helps the coaching staff more than anything, gel together and figure out some things and learn how to coach off of each other. So I think that this is a game that spring is definitely going to be a good positive factor for Jackson State. September 18th, they go to Monroe to take on ULM. Now, this is a game that, everybody's picking this game as their upset special. If you check out anybody else doing game previews and things like that, they're saying, Jackson State probably is the more talented team. And I feel like, comparable talent, I don't know. ULM's not a good team. They haven't been good for a long time. And I think Jackson State can win this game. Again, that all depends on how they play throughout the season. If they struggle these first 2 weeks, then I don't expect them to do well in this game. If they win both of them games, I think they have a good chance of winning this game. For the sake of my preview, I'm going to pick Jackson State because I just feel like, we all talking about what the SWAC need to do, and the SWAC needs out-of-conference wins. So what better way to get an out-of-conference win than to get an FBS win against a team that's not that good? That's the North Carolina A&T formula. You beat those kind of teams, and then you move on up the rank. So if Jackson State wants to take that level and raise the SWAC profile, this is a game that they got to win. I hate to say that about an FBS game, but right now, I think they'll win it. Now, I would not be surprised if they lost it. When it comes to my week-by-week previews, my thoughts would be a little bit more in-depth. This is just off the dome and just kind of flying by the seat of my pants and having a little fun with this. September 25th, they host Delta State in their first home game season. Delta State's a Division II opponent. I don't really expect Jackson State to have a whole lot of problems with this game. I think they'll win this game. It may be close early, but I think Jackson State have enough talent to just do what they need to do in that game and get that out of the way. They get a bye week on October 2nd. October 9th, they go to Huntsville to take on Alabama A&M. That's the Bulldogs' homecoming. Maynard, Sanders, Glass, Sanders, Glass, that defensive secondary of of Jackson State, those wide receivers of Alabama A&M against that secondary. The key is going to be that Alabama A&M defense, Jackson State offense matchup. I think, whichever unit does best in that is probably going to win this game. I think it's going to be a shootout. Right now I'm thinking it's going to be a shootout, and I think Alabama A&M is going to win it. If it's a shootout, then, anybody can win that. And I think it's going to be kind of the last team with the ball wins. So I'm going to go with Alabama A&M in that one. Obviously it could go either way. This is another one of those games that could go either way, but I'm going to go with A&M for the sake of my predictions. October 16th, they come home and take on Alabama State for homecoming. Alabama State has a tremendous defense, but their offense is still not there yet. I think Jackson State will win this game. I think their offense is more than capable, and I think their defense is going to give Alabama State problems when the Hornets have the ball. If Alabama State can't run the ball, then they really are going to be in trouble counting on still a young guy who hadn't had a lot of road action. So this is going to be a tough matchup for Alabama State, but I think Jackson will send that homecoming crowd home happy. Them Blue Bengals will be celebrating right there. October 23rd, they host Bethune-Cookman. Again, Bethune-Cookman is a very scrappy team. I think defensively, I think they'll be tough. Offensively, they're still finding their way, but I think Jackson State will be able to win that game. October 30th, they go to Valley. Stop me if you heard this before. Valley is going to be tough at home, but Valley don't have no depth. Everybody's Team Valley right now, and I'm Team Valley. Like I keep saying, my dad played at Valley, but, right now Valley don't have any depth. And to beat good teams, you need depth or a gang of turnovers. And I don't really see either one of those things happening right now, but I think Valley can put up a fight early, but I think Jackson State wins this game comfortably. November 6th, they host the Southern. Again, Texas Southern's a team that I think is be better this year than a game this year. Not counting the North American game, but they'll win a SWAC game this year, but it won't be this one. I think Jackson State will win this game also comfortably. November 13th, they go to Baton Rouge to take on Southern in the game that I'm definitely looking forward to. Obviously, I will be there. I will say this before I get into my pick. If any of you people who are coming to this game that has never been to a Jackson Southern game in Baton Rouge, you need to get on campus at least 3 hours early. You looking at me like, why I need to get that early? The game at 6 o'clock. You would not be able to get on campus if you at 4 o'clock. If you get there at 5 o'clock, you may not even get to the bridge that leads to campus. So if you're thinking about coming to this game and you've never been to Southern for a big game, then take my advice, get on campus as early as you can, because you won't be able to get, if you call yourself trying to show up, right before kickoff, it ain't happening at all. I don't care who you know, it ain't happening. So this game, if these two teams are doing the way I think they're going to do, the atmosphere is going to be crazy. The only thing that I don't enjoy right now is that November weather. It's going to be cold as hell on the bluff. That water blowing off the river is going to make things really cold, so you need to bring a jacket or a coat. But the atmosphere is going to be electric. These two both playing well. I think they will be. You're going to have a really good game. And both teams are, I think this is going to be a physical game. This is probably going to be one of the more physical games of the season, because I don't think either team is going to want to take a backseat to each other on that aspect. I've been going with streak breakers all previews that I've done so far, and I'm going to stick with that. I think at this point, I think Jackson State is going to break their streak. 8 wins in a row. It's tough to keep going. So I think Jackson will win this game. I think it's going to be a close game. Touchdown, maybe 10 points. I could be swayed the other way. It all depends on how Southern comes into this game off of that late season stretch that they have. There was 4 or 5 games late in the year that are very tough. If they navigate that well, then I think this game is going to be a really good battle, and even possibility preview of a SWAC championship game in a few weeks. Or it could just be 2 teams playing out the season because they, a game or so out of the race. Or it could be a Jackson State team trying to put a stamp on their season, and Southern just, limping on along. So, so many variables, so many outlooks. But I'm going to go with Jackson State in this game right now. Obviously, week-to-week previews can change, but right now I'm picking Jackson State. November 20th, they close out with the Soul Bowl against Alcorn. I'm going with Alcorn just because I think that, this will be the Jackson State 7 game in 7 weeks. No late season bye. Sometimes that can wear on a team. It's tough to have, a long stretch of games in a row and then have one tough game and follow it up with another tough game. They play really well against Southern. They may not play as well against Alcorn. Obviously, all that's guessing and soft factors, but I'm picking Alcorn just because, really, I think Alcorn can win this game. I think Jackson can win this game as well, but right now I'm going to go with Alcorn, which puts me at a 9-2 prediction for Jackson State. My best case, I'm going to start my worst case scenario. My worst case scenario is 7-4. I don't, and it's honestly hard to even say 7-4, but I just like to do a ceiling and floor because we just don't know right now how this team is. But I don't see them finishing 7-4, so don't even look at me funny for that. Y'all people who like, man, y'all, you ain't pick Jackson State to go undefeated. You don't know nothing about football. I think this team is gonna be very good. I think they're gonna be very good. But like I said, that early portion of the season is probably the part of the season that could trip them up. If they trip up, if that 7-4 record happens, it's gonna be because they tripped up early or late. But right now, I think early because I think late is going to be hard to beat them, especially back-to-back weeks. Best case scenario, I'm going to say 10-1 because it's hard to go undefeated, and especially with a team that's new like this, they may drop a game early and then go on a run of wins in a row. So I feel more comfortable with that 8-3, 9-2 range right now. I'm going 9-2 just for the sake of my predictions and how I want things to play out in my order of finish and all of that. But this team can finish anywhere. I think it's going to be a very good team. I could say that over and over till the cows come home. So, I know everybody's expecting so many things. This team has probably the most pressure on them out of any team, even the championship contending teams. They have so much pressure because there are so many people who are watching them week in and week out. And it's going to be important for the team to be able to handle that. Coach Sanders says Shedeur is built for this. That's probably true, but we don't know if everybody else on the team is built for this. And it takes all guys to make it. You got one dude built for the spotlight and a bunch of dudes who not. So if everybody handle the pressure, the team is going to be good, because I don't think there's no pressure on the field that's as great as what they're facing off the field. So with that being said, I think this is going to be a very good season. It could be a championship season. It could just be a season that turns out to be okay. But it won't be, it will not be unentertaining. I don't know if that's a word or not, but it's going to be a very entertaining season. And, just in closing, I just want to say, you have to be, whether you Jackson State, whether you don't like Jackson State, whether you like Coach Sanders, whether you don't like Coach Sanders, whether you agree with what he's doing, whether you don't agree with what he's doing, you have to give respect and props to him for what he's doing. Because yes, he may be making some statements on Twitter, but that's his personality. He don't mean no harm. He's just talking. But if you see what he's doing and what Jackson State is doing right now, everybody else has to step up, man. Because if this team gets rolling in the next few years the way a lot of people think they will, if you don't keep up, everybody gonna get left behind. So this, to me, is an adapt or die type of situation. You have to be able to match that energy that they're putting out. It's gonna be hard early because everybody's playing catch up, because a lot of people haven't done a lot of things that Jackson is doing like right now with the social media and all of that, the recruiting and all of that. But if you have the ability to catch up, you may not catch them, but if you can keep pace, then the league is going to be better. And that's the only way the league is going to be better, is everybody can match that energy. Because, obviously the on the field product is one thing, but the off the field product is what people that are not affiliated with the SWAC are looking at. So you have 11 other teams that need to match that energy. If you can't, you're going to get left behind. And if you're left behind, then you're going to drop further behind on the field as well, because this is the start of an arms race to me in HBCU football. So if you want to be in it to win it, you got to be in it to win it in the arms race. And that means being more active on social media. Your coaches need to be more visible. Your university needs to be more visible. You need to put out a good product, on the field and off. So, if your coaches ain't recruiting right now, then they better pray over that they can keep up, because Jackson State is setting the pace for a team that went 4-3 in the spring, and that's because of a forfeit, and hasn't had a actual winning season in the fall since 2012. For them to have the 55th ranked team in all of college football in recruiting, not North Dakota State, not South Dakota State, not JMU, not Youngstown State, not Kennesaw State, not Jacksonville State, not Eastern Washington, not Montana State, Sam Houston, Stephen F. Austin, Southeastern Louisiana, Nickel State, Sanford, whoever you want to say. Not any of them teams, but a team out of the SWAC that hadn't had any success in recent years. For them to hire a guy like Jackson State and shoot up the rankings like that means that anybody else can do it. They may not be able to do it on that level, but it can be done. So with all that said, man, I'm definitely thankful that Coach Sanders is here, because he's opening a lot of people's eyes to what goes on in other areas of football. Now, you may not agree with it. Everybody program not built the same. That's a motto that I strive and live by. Everybody program is not the same, just like everybody household is not the same. What you do in your house may not work in mine. What I do in my house may not work in yours. But there's elements of that you can take and use, and you need to do that. So with that being said, I'm your boy Charles Wells signing out. I hope y'all enjoyed this show. This was not easy, because I'm just, guessing right now. But it was fun. So I hope you guys had fun. And we'll be back on tomorrow with another edition of SWAC Smoke with DJ. And then Sunday, we talk about the Delta Devils of Mississippi Valley. So with that being said, I'm out of here, man. Y'all have a good hump day. And we'll see you guys tomorrow for some more SWAC. Peace.